I won't hear you calling on the telephone, I'm already gone. Been listening to the Clash record playing, and I'm scratching at my head and saying, where've all the good times gone? I won't hear you calling on the telephone, I'm already gone.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome again to the Whiskey Wednesday show. This week we have three of my oldest friends, actually. In the top left here, we've got Phil Winters, then we've got Jeff Younghusband, who you've heard me talk about a bunch on the show, and Don Ellis, who played in one of my first bands. We played together in Waffet way back in the day. And me and Phil played together in
Cult of Reason.
Cult of Reason, that's what it was, with Sean Panting. Yep. And me and Jeffy have never played together, Mr. Younghusband, strangely enough. But that's all right. Someday that'll happen.
Still time.
Still time.
Still time.
These friends of mine are from Newfoundland and collaboratively have played with, amongst the three of us, the three of you and me, we've probably played with 30 or 40 bands from Newfoundland. Currently, you guys have a project which, if I'm correct, is 21 years old this April coming. Is that correct? Jigger, the band?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, this year, 2025 spring. Yeah, we're 21 years old.
21 years old, and you put out your first record in 2014, which was called Lead Reckoning.
Lead Reckoning,
which had that amazing art. What was that thing you did, Jeff? What was that?
I made like a resin. I made a silicone mold and then cast resin covers that I burnished to make them look like they were made of lead, and they had a jigger and a compass on them.
They're beautiful.
Sort of
I've got one.
And so I made them, and so I did limited edition. I photographed that for the CD cover, but then I also made limited edition resin covers for them that I sold as sort of bonus things.
Everything about Jigger is so weird. You're a metal band, you're a punk band, you're a pop band. Your production and mixes are on level with any label act. And you've also got sort of elements of prog rock. Where's this all coming from? Somebody tell me about the Jigger project, how it happened, and when you guys sat down and said, hey, let's do something that does this. Did it happen like that, or how did it happen?
No, I think it just
Phil are into like 2s and 4s, and Jeff's into 3s, 5s, and 7s.
Prime numbers, baby, prime numbers.
And I'm always trying to get them back to like 2s and 4s. And sometimes we get there. In a part of the song.
Yeah, well, I mean, 2s and 4s, 2s and 4s make 6, and 3 and 3 makes 6. So, you can get things to match. You can always just take a page out of the King Crimson book. Go and do a deep dive on discipline and actually try and arrange it and chart it out with the time signatures. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So you got into, there's a fair bit of that sort of prog rocky, sort of time changes, whimsical arrangement changes, but you've also got a really strong, like the new record has got a really strong pop flavor as well. Like the first track on the record, what's it called? Sorry, I don't have a track list on me.
Precise with a Knife.
Precise with a Knife. That song is almost sort of a pop song in the way that the Pixies are now a pop band. And then you've got other stuff that's very, very metal riff rock. Are you guys cognizant of this when you're doing it? Like, are you thinking this is what you want to do? Or are you fumbling into stuff as a band? Somebody's coming in and saying, hey, I got a riff. How's the building process work?
It's mostly like, well, this record has the new record has like songs that I came in with mostly fully formed, and they would get maybe rearranged, or maybe they get rearranged and put back basically the way they came in once we all knew that that's the way they worked.
Yeah.
There's a couple of songs that have really old riffs of mine that have been floating around forever. Like one of them for Pigeonholed, I've been playing since like 95, 96 when I was with Potmaster. I started jamming that riff, the opening riff, and I could never quite find anything I liked to go from there. And Phil finally said, can I take it? And he came back and we played the riff. I played it like, at the beginning and at the end. And then he just sort of bastardized that and wrote this entire song, which he can tell you about what he wrote about, but that's how that worked. And then we sort of all just keep workshopping all the parts together. And COVID.
Yeah, I mean, there's a fair amount of workshopping involved, and like we jam a lot of this stuff out, quite a bit. And some things, I'll be just walking around in the woods, and something will be going in my head, like a transition or something like that, and I'll bring that in, and get Jeff to approve it, and we're all good.
Lyrics are coming from who?
Well, both myself and Jeff,
Both you and
really.
Jeff. Yeah.
So mostly whoever's singing lead probably wrote what is being sung.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
And Don,
And we do suggest line adjustments to each other occasionally, I know in Clones there's one line that I had differently, and Phil's like, I hear it as this, and I was like, well, that's definitely better than what I had, so I'll put that in.
It's so Don, like I remember jamming at your parents' place when we were kids. And your mom used to always say, I remember coming over, I can't remember if it was you played with Schizoid for a while, right?
Yeah.
And I think we were there for a Wafa Jam, but you were downstairs with Schizoid guys or something, or they had just left. And I remember sitting in the kitchen with your mom, and your mom saying,
My poor grandmother.
What's that?
My poor grandmother.
But your mom sitting in the kitchen, I remember her saying to me, oh, Don, everybody loves working with Don because he's so good at making up beginnings and endings. And I remember thinking, like, that was something that struck me as really, like, because as a 15 or 14-year-old, however old we were then, we'd learn songs and we'd play them, but I wasn't even really thinking verse, chorus. I didn't give a lot to arrangement thought, but you were already there. And you've moved into, of course, producing and engineering, which you've made a career out of, which has been fantastic. You have produced, engineered, mixed so many people from Newfoundland and everywhere else. Do you find in Jigger, are you contributing artistically to the music, the songwriting, and the craft, or are you more the drummer, engineer, kind of analytical guy who sits in the background and kind of helps to produce it, so to speak? What's your role?
Oh, he's not the drummer.
Yeah, I'm not the drummer.
We're missing John Angelopoulos here in this.
Oh, sorry. Yes, no, you're right. You're right. No. Sorry, my
drum.
But when you're like when you're writing with the band, are you creating or are you more producing? I guess that's the question I'm looking for.
I'm playing with the boys. I'm playing their riffs, and I'm, like Jeff and Phil kind of write 99% of this music, and I've always kind of struggled to find my tunes in this band, and it's because that combination of those guys is like this nucleus. It's like this. It's like they're constantly like
ever changing.
doing this.
We are intertwined. We are one.
They are one. They are intertwined, and I'm kind of.
I can't stop writing songs about him.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the outside looking in, but I love the band, and I contribute in some way. But
contribute in a large way, Don, buddy.
But it's
let's say like Don does a lot of jamming at things while Phil and I are like tightening things up. Don is constantly trying other things around it. And like the beginning of Hooks and Me is a good example where he played something and Phil's spectacular musical memory allowed him to say like, that was it, Don. This is how it goes. You just played it, and then tied Don's other rhythm riff against the main riff, like as that oh down. Down thing was like Don just fucking around, and then Phil was like, no, that's what we do, and like just pulling Don's little bits out and going like, no, stop fucking around, no, that's the one we keep.
I'm always fascinated by people who whose focus has been on production engineering and producing, who actually play in bands. It's an amazingly complex role to maintain without sort of bulldozing over everything.
Oh yeah.
As a musician, when you come into a thing, you've got to kind of leave your ego at the door. You've all got to be egoless. And then you bring in this other member who is a producer to help you sort of capture and evolve your sound. It's got to be so hard to be wearing both of those hats at the same time. Or do you find it turn it off?
It's hard, especially because I play bass, I play drums, I play guitar, and I sing.
Yeah.
So sometimes I want it to go this way, and I'm like, I can't impose that on another person because I'm not them. Like they are who they are and they have their skills and their strengths. And I can't be like, you know,
Yeah.
I could do it better, or I could do it this, or I could do it that. It's like, no, maybe I can't do it better, actually. You know, so I always have to be careful of that line that you're talking about, for sure.
Yeah.
We respect your musicality, right? And, you know, like anything, any suggestion that, you know, you have is something that we'll take to heart, right?
Yes. Yeah, it's true. That's the
Well,
first
like
20
the,
M is what you're talking about.
Is the what?
The first is like whatever riff somebody brought in, we're just going to jam it, and we'll just jam it for like 15, 20 minutes straight until something turns cool. And then we're like, okay, let's somebody turn on a phone, like somebody capture, because it's
exciting.
Yeah.
Pigeonhole was like that, like the riff for Pigeonhole that Jeff was talking about. You know, that would come up every so often, and we'd, you know, just jam it out for a little while and then move on. But yeah, like it was something that inspired something different from me. You know, like
Yep.
when I went away with it at one point, I just, yeah, it just started to come to me.
Who's the big Spoonerism fan here in the band? All the play on words. That's you, is it, Phil?
Yeah.
Don? Getting
I don't know where he is in your frame.
Oh, okay.
You're down here, Jeff.
Oh, see, because you're down there,
right there.
to me.
Okay, you're over. Okay, so we're all in different places. Yeah, like you know, Lead Reckoning, for example. You know, it's you're just moving a word around. Night of the Diving Lead. Are you calling it Night of the Diving Lead or the Diving Lead?
No, the diving lead.
It is the Diving Lead. Okay.
Yeah, because the jigger is made of lead. It you know, it
Dives.
dives into the water and comes up with a cod or a squid or.
And that was my next question. For those who don't know, what is a jigger? Is jigger always
I wish I had mine with me, but there you go. Jeff's got it on his forearm there.
Is a jigger always 2 prongs, or can it be 3 and 4 prongs?
2, I think. Also, some of the new ones, the new metal ones, have 3 on them, don't they? But these old lead ones, the fish would be lead, and then they'd have iron hooks on them, I guess, and drop by hand line, and then you pull a couple feet up off the bottom. You just pull a few times. One maybe, if you were lucky, you got 2 on it.
And they're about the length of your hand, but that's pretty much actual size.
That's pretty close to actual size on my arm there.
Yeah.
How
do you guys feel about the new record?
Love it.
Really good.
Yeah.
It sounds fucking great.
Yeah, we're so happy with it. I mean, Don just really, captured and then massaged everything just beautifully, and and we did do a lot of the we'll worry about how you play it later, like things like let's put more vocals on than we'll ever be able to reproduce live. There's vocal parts that we just can't sing while we're playing, so it's we're trying to put them in, but then it's yeah, let's not do that. Let's focus on keeping it tight. Leave that part out.
It's always the hard part about
record, you know.
Yeah, that's the hard part.
Make a record.
After you've made the record, learning how to play the record is a whole other organism.
Oh my God. Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just did you've got another show coming up in February. Did I just see you posted it today?
February 8th at the Ship.
February the 8th at the Ship. And who's with you on that bill?
That's the Sea Dogs and Puce.
Puce. Oh, nice. Sea Dogs and Puce. Very cool. And Night of the Diving Lead is out now. You can get it on Flipside Records. Is that right? It's called Flipside.
Flipside Records NL. Yeah, Doug's got it out there for if you want to order it for shipping, or Fred's Records has it. You can order for shipping there too. I don't really deal with shipping, but if you're in St. John's, you can message me and I'll either deliver it or you can come pick it up from me. So.
I'm curious because Newfoundland is it's an anomaly. Most cities that I know across Canada right now are really struggling with live music still. The venues are closing down. Cities that used to have 3 or 4 venues now have none. The cities that used to have 10 to 15 video sort of places might have 1 or 2 now. It seems like in St. John's, no matter what happens, the arts culture, the culture of the arts and music in Newfoundland still survives. I think it's just part of our breeding. How is it down there these days for a band to be for a band like you guys to be playing? Is there ample places to play? Are people still going out? Are you doing early shows, late shows, all ages shows? What's the land like down there?
There's lots of places to play. They're all, with the exception of sort of one, on pretty small, like, there's the Rock House, which holds like 300 people. So that's sort of the biggest place. And then those bigger places and that's sort of the indie rock scene. And then there's the Black Sheep and the Ship, both hold like, 140 or 150 people or something like that. And then there's like Aaron's Pub and CBTG's, and then
Peter Easton.
Mhm.
Huh?
Peter
Peter
Easton, right? Peter Easton Pub, and then there's a new all ages venue called Second Stage, which is struggling a bit, but it's got having shows every weekend. And then there's a guy who does punk rock bowling all ages shows, like at St. Pat's Bowling Lanes. That's pretty fun. And
So
yeah, so I don't know, a lot of small stuff, but like partially is because the bar scene here totally relies on the local bands for music. Like it's not like there's touring bands. It's not like three of those bars could have a touring band in them this weekend. Like that doesn't happen. Like, once in a while one of them has a touring band in it. It's like no one's touring here on a regular basis. So
And if
it's
they
up
are,
to
they're
us
staying
to
at
fill
Jeff's
it up. You
house.
want to see music, it's going to be your friends' bands.
yeah,
Say,
yeah,
Phil?
I said, and if they are, they're staying at Jeff's house.
Yes.
that's right. And you're all Phil. You used to take photos of little tiny things. Are you still doing that at all? You mentioned earlier you're not doing it as much.
I haven't been for the last year and a half or so. Like, I was doing taking photos of birds, insects, and that sort of
Hmm.
thing. I kind of, like 2 summers ago, I kind of got more into the macro and, like getting all sorts of different like insects on flowers and that sort of
Yeah,
thing. But working at the hall kind of, for as much as I was doing it, kind of took it out of me a
yeah.
little bit. I mean, I still have my shit and my platform and stuff like that, so it's not something that, will be gone forever. And I'd like to actually get back into doing more of it.
Healthy
So
breaks are important.
say again?
Healthy breaks are important.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I
But I
saw.
love it. I love the birds and the bees and the insects and stuff like that. And, any anytime you can look down at the ground, take that time to, see another ecosystem, kind of puts a few things in perspective, you know.
It's pretty wild. I
Here's a
saw
nice Phil Winters.
I saw a close up. Yes,
That's
there's
one
one.
of my
That's
photos
beautiful.
there.
See, just gorgeous. I saw a close up of an ant's face on Instagram. And it was, I don't know, they described the lens procedure to get to it. This thing was, I'll see if I can find it and send it to you, Phil, because it immediately reminded me of you. Because it was like macro photography of insects, but B, like it was just the face of the ant, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like the devil. It's the craziest looking thing.
I know, it's amazing. Like the faces of insects are just wild.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
incredible.
like those damselflies that Don just showed you, like, to see them up close, like eating another insect, it's just like, and it's amazing. It's amazing to see that sort of thing, right? Because
Most people never do.
a lot of people go through their lives never ever seeing anything like that.
Yeah,
And they influence a lot of Phil's imagery in his songs, that's for sure.
very cool.
I mean, pigeonholed is about the extinction of the passenger pigeon,
Hmm. Yes.
which it kind of, was a bit of a passion for me to write that.
Jeff, are you working on any TV shows at the moment, or what's your?
I just finished cutting sound effects for Hudson and Rex season 7. Turned that over, so that's actually in the mix room. Just started mixing today, I believe it started mixing. So that was the last one, and I've got a feature film coming up in February that I'm doing the sound effects for.
Fantastic.
And
Also,
doing
Jeff,
home renos and stuff like that.
we were watching St. Pierre last night, and I saw the guillotine that you made.
Oh, yes, I built a guillotine or guillotine for Alan Hocko's show Saint Pierre, which what did it debuted last week, did it? And this is the second week or something
It's
like
been on for 3 weeks now. This is
that? 3 weeks.
the third episode we watched last night.
So
So you guys are
and
you guys are all fully invested in the Newfoundland art scene, both music, theater,
yeah,
television, every dance, all aspects of it. It's
All
amazing.
of it.
yeah.
Me, Phil, and Jeff just worked on a show called The Feast of Cohen, where Jeff was the stage manager, I was the sound, and Phil was the lights.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, and any of us could have potentially been in the band as well. Like
Yeah.
that's the beauty of St. John's is we all rely upon each other, and we all kind of need each other. So there's a sense of community there, but it's also like when the moments are amazing and great, you go like, there you go. There you go. I have no further questions, Your Honor. You know, it's great.
And when you're hanging out with people that you've got a lifelong friendship with, and you're sharing similar passions, be it dance or music or theater or whatever, film, when you're passionate about it and you've got friends that you've known and that you're so comfortable with, and you can do it all together like that, it's an amazing blessing. You guys are so. I can tell you from a Newfoundlander who's not at home, who, yes, I have friends up here and I have people that I know, but I don't have anything like the connection and the scene that in my mind exists, and it used to exist back home in Newfoundland. It's a real beautiful thing. I'm so happy to see you guys all still part of it. It's very cool.
Well, it really is a pleasure
Thank
to have that connection, and a privilege. It really is, like working a show with Don and Jeff. What more would I want?
Yeah.
It took me a little while to slip back into the scene, but when everyone knew I was back and then I started working again, it was like, whoa, I can't keep up. I was like, there was one day I was on, I think it was Son of a Critch or something. I was doing like catching calls for films for a while. Like I'm not doing full-time film,
Right?
Because I want my old life going, right? Where I do like a theater show a year. I do a couple of albums. I worked 2-3 months on film. I've always done that.
Yeah.
I like to play music. I like to record music. I like theater. I like film. I like it all. I like doing live sound. But once it all kind of started to come back, it was like, holy shit, this is too much. Like there was one day I actually turned down 5 film shoots one summer. It was like 5 shows.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were not none of them were big. One was big, one was sort of medium, and then there were like 2 docs, and the other one was like a short film or a small film. And I just thought, this is bizarre.
Yeah.
Like this is city sort of juggling in a town of 180,000, 190,000 people. So
I think that's
okay. I mean, we always worry about turning down stuff that you won't get asked again. But it's strangely you do get asked again.
Yeah.
Do.
What do you mean when the 5th asked person doesn't do a perfect job, they ask the top asked person again?
Exactly. That's what I was just going to say. Like if you
we
use
used the trainee because we had to, but we prefer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we've been chatting with Jigger for the last little while. They have a new record out. It is called Night of the Diving Lead. They have an old record out from 10 years ago called Lead Reckoning. They're both on all streaming services, and you can pick them up at Fred's in Newfoundland. Fred's will also ship, as well as Flipside Records NL, if you want to get a copy of the vinyl, which is very cool. What color vinyl is it? Is it black or is it a splatter?
It's a splatter here. Let me show you.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. Oh, that's a beautiful splatter too.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah, it's sort of. Yeah, no, it's good. That's awesome. Isn't that ever great, eh? Vinyl is so much fun to do. So much fun to do. Yeah, I've done 3 now, and I love them. I mean, they're a pain in the ass. Yeah, stuff like this, the artwork. It's amazing. It's amazing.
So that's a painting I did, an oil painting, and like then the liner is the painting
that one,
which is on the shirt, and which I did as well, which hangs here in my kitchen.
Yeah. that. Did Richie do the video, the animated video, or was that done by?
No, that was done by a friend of mine from film school. I went to Humber College in 88, 89, and I'm still friends with one of the guys from that one year that I went to film school. And he's out in BC, and he's a production designer for animated shows. And he has this sort of company that he calls Cobra Blade Detective Agency, and he's sort of really into, in his off time, he messes around with AI animation and stuff, and he keeps coming up with these weird ideas and like generating a whole bunch of AI images around this weird idea, like fake films, and creating film stills for him and stuff. So I messaged him and asked him, would he make us a lyric video, thinking he'd make us like a few little interstitial clips, and then we just card up the lyrics over it or something, something really cheap and fast. And after he started, he was like, I'm just going to make you a whole video. And we send him a bunch of shots of the band playing live and stuff, and so he used those to sort of morph some of the characters in it. So there's nobody that looks really just like any one of us, but there's lots that are like, that looks like me and Don mashed together, that looks like Phil and Don mashed together, that looks like Johnny and me mashed together, sort of things. And he just came up with some crazy industrialization overlords that then turns into a Viking raid on a jigger gig or something. I don't know what happened.
I've watched
the
it a
video
few
went off
times.
the rails once he started going. And I can't say enough about it. It was really fun, and you can find
It's
that.
really
That was for Leadfoot, which is one of the songs that like was a pretty big collaborative song between Phil and I.
So cool, because all of the artwork, all of the photography, everything was done by either the band or ex-members of the band.
Yeah.
Which is
So the back photo on the album, then we sort of thought up, we were like, we should be like underwater zombies. So we went and had Richie do a photo shoot with us, and so he took individual photos of the band, and then he knew the idea and he did some SketchUps, but then I did all of the Photoshop work up to the album art scale on the back there. And to continue the whole AI thing, like this has got a bunch of AI parts that I made, like a lot of the bubbles and like the actual background and the water surface were all AI generated to do the thing. And then our photos at the top, and even like the painting on the cover, I took after we had the name Night of the Diving Lead. Then I started feeding that into AI and seeing what it generated, and I took elements of that, and once I mashed them together, generated something similar to this, and then I used that as my guide for painting the album cover.
It's amazing. It's amazing. So much collective talent between the band, so many different artistic expressions, and the history and the time, and also collaborating with new technology. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of
head, rustling through the reeds, lurking in my knees, suffering through silently spinning and spiraling, temperamental tyrants are bailing and spiraling, dark and bass of violin, clouds are conspiring, thunder is a grumbling, stumbling, vomiting up. Grinding down Marble Hill, I'm tougher than stainless steel, I'm dense, heavy to the core, I'm the one of which your mother warns. I'm built like a monolith, and in my hands I got a list. Best hope you aren't on it. My left foot's gunning for you. There is nothing you can do. You can try, wondering why on bloody knees I see your eyes in mine, weeping insincere, salty crystalline, twinkling crocodile tears, faulty by design. In the moonlight I see your eyes in mine, seek to interfere, influence my thought optically. Am I on a sphere? Is it hard to find fascinating? Oh, I see your
Detective Agency.